Hi everyone, Nubkeks here. In today's video, I want to just talk about the very simple question really of whether or not Reaper, the new job in Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, is fun. And actually one of the things I found really interesting about this question is that for me personally, I mained it through the Endwalker main story. And I was having a lot of doubts, I will be honest, around level 81, 82. I was somewhat regretting my choice, but when you get to level 90, I actually feel like things get a lot better. I'm going to press play in this video in a second. I'm going to be, we're going to go through the final dungeon at level 90, so you can see full level 90 gameplay. If you don't want, obviously, spoilers, if you're not through the MSQ yet, you can still listen to the video, but not actually watch the visuals of the video. So yeah, that's sort of up to you. In fact, I have the sound of everything muted, so you won't hear anything about it, and I won't reference any story stuff from it. So without any further ado, let me hit play and let's talk about Reaper. Let's talk about what it does well or what it doesn't do well. Reaper is a very interesting melee DPS job. I think compared to the other melee DPS, it has far fewer OGCDs. And it's actually very reliant really on its cooldowns. Its cooldowns are what brings it together. And in particular, when your cooldowns let you go into Reperform, where Reperform actually speeds up your GCD. You get very fast actions in Reperform, kind of like Machinist, I think, actually, where your GCD is faster, you're flying through stuff, you're weaving in OGCDs, and it's that change of pace. It's like hitting the acceleration pedal on your car, and just going way faster whenever you hit Reperform, and how that sort of impacts everything. And this is why I say that I felt Reaper, even as high as like the mid 80s, honestly wasn't that fun, because the core toolkit that lets you get into Reperform and lets you make the most out of Reperform doesn't come until, well, really level 88 and even 90, where you get Communio, which is your big casted finisher, kind of like a Madare, an AoE Madare at the end of each Reperform. So it's a bit weird like that. The big ability for me actually is called Plentiful Harvest. You get Plentiful Harvest at level 88. I'll put up the tooltip on screen. It's a monstrous tooltip, and I actually the important part kind of went by when I was seeing this. The first time, because there's so much text there, the important part gets lost in it, which is very simply that it gives you Shroud Gauge, right? It does a whole bunch of other stuff. It's whenever you pop Arcane Circle, which is your raid buff, 2-minute cooldown raid buff, it's going to eventually unlock this Plentiful Harvest ability 6 seconds later. Every time someone uses a weapon skill while they have your Arcane Circle buff on, it gives you a stack up to 8 stacks, which up the potency, and it's an AoE hit, and blah, blah, blah. And it hits really hard. It looks really cool. It looks like Braum's ult out of League of Legends, but Reaperified. But the big deal is that it straight up gives you 50 Shroud Gauge. And not only does it give you 50 Shroud Gauge, it gives you 50 Shroud Gauge like not even halfway through your Arcane Circle. So it lets you go into Reperform bang in the middle of raid buffs, which makes it so much more satisfying. Because suddenly your ability to do damage just feels so much better. It feels good when you get this ability at 88. It feels so good. Because that's one of the things, right? Before you have this, it takes a while to get into Reperform. It's kind of like Dragoon is, in fact, with going into Blood of the Dragon. It takes a while for it to actually activate, for it to actually get going. It's not something you do on pull. It's not something you get in raid buffs. It is for Reaper once you unlock this Reaper ability, though. Yeah, it's just fantastic. It's fantastic. So I really needed that to make it good. And then even more weirdly, I think as well, Reperform, when you eventually unlock it at level 80, and you can't even unlock it in Bosja, you have to do the story quest, the Reaper story quest to unlock it. You need to actually be level 80 to unlock it. You can't use it in Bosja or wherever until you've done that. When you first unlock Reperform, it's actually, I feel, pretty bland, right? You have your 2 single target abilities, and you just bounce between them, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and that's it, and you're done. If you're doing AoE even, you just press the AoE and Reaper button 5 times in a row, and that's it. And you kind of go, oh, that's a little bit disappointing. It's a little bit underwhelming. But at level 86, you unlock OGCD, so for every 2 attacks, you weave in an OGCD. So instead of your single target rotation being 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, it's 1, 2, OGCD, 1, 2, OGCD, then 1 at the end. And then at level 90, you get Communio, which is the finisher. And then your rotation and Reperform is much faster, many more buttons involved. So it's 1-2 OGCD, 1-2 OGCD Communio, which has a cast time and a range and AoE hit. And it just becomes much more, but you don't get that stuff till 86, 88, 90. And up to that point, Reaper is relatively slow-paced. It is relatively slow-paced. You know, your basic rotation, I would say, is very simple. There's a lot of leeway in your gauges. That's another thing about Reaper that's probably going to be quite appealing to people. I think you've got quite a lot of leeway in your gauges. It's something I think they've tried to do, just generally speaking, in Endwalker, is to, you know, by giving other melee jobs, other melee DPS jobs, for example, charges on their abilities, it's to kind of make your timings not as punishing. Like, you can generate extra gauge. You could generate extra shroud gauge before going into Reperform if you want. You can bank it up and dump it again during cooldowns or during vulnerability phases or when a lot of ads actually spawn in. You can decide where to use it, and you're not like strictly punished. That's a very big part of Reaper. But yeah, I don't know. That's just sort of what I think. The other really, really great thing for me then about this job as well is not only just the pace when you go into Reperform at max level and getting Reperform early in your rotation and just really blasting. The other thing I really like are the utility abilities. So Hell's Ingress, Hell's Egress, where you can dash in or dash out, and then portal back is just so tremendously fun in so many fights. And you can do like these nice slick moves, right, where you're like Hell's Egress, just dash out, get to instant cast your harp ability, your ranged filler, get to instant cast that after you Hell's Egress or Hell's Ingress, wait for the explosions to go off, and then portal right back in. It feels so badass. It's so rewarding. It's so satisfying. And then you have as well your defensive ability. What is the name? Let me get the correct name for you. Arcane Crest. Arcane Crest, right? It's a 30-second cooldown. And it actually gives you a 10% HP shield for 5 seconds. And then one really, really fun thing about this, you become the team healer, right? You become the team healer because when this shield gets broken, it's one of the traits that you unlock. You actually get it only at level, again, 84, right? It's high in the levels when the good stuff comes. You get it when you break it. It's going to give a 100 potency heal over time effect for 15 seconds to all of your team. So that's like a 500 cure, 500 potency cure on every single member of your party that's nearby you when your Arcane Crest is broken. And that becomes so satisfying that by you using your Arcane Crest every 30 seconds to properly mitigate mechanics, that you're giving a huge chunk of healing to your entire team. That feels really damn good. It's so good. I've been playing a ton of Samurai as well, and I think it's a much better version of Samurai's Third Eye, where Samurai has Third Eye, I believe also on a 30-second cooldown, but for them it's only a 3-second buff, so it's much harder for Samurai to time it right. It's much more forgiving for the Reaper. And again, for Samurai, it just gives them a little bit of Kenki, which is nice. But again, it's nowhere near as satisfying as for Reaper being able to use it to, you know, heal up your teammates, which is, for me, just an absolutely phenomenal thing. Again, I just love those little bits. Or yeah, again, another high-level thing you get, level 82 Soulso, which is you're out of combat, just instant cast, charge up your scythe, and then you can fire off Harvest Moon in combat, which is a ranged attack. It does a big chunk of AoE potency damage. Very, very solid. Really nice. You know, going through dungeons or world quest, you know, doing your quests in the world, all that sort of stuff, you can just charge that up, have it ready to go every single time. And yeah, again, that's very satisfying for that little bit of extra flow, a little bit of extra interest in the dungeons. In combat, you can charge it up. It's a 5-second cast in combat to charge it up. So this is like the thing that you do when there's downtime, right? When the boss is going into an intermission, it's like, charge up my scythe and get a Harvest Moon then for free for when I have to move away from the boss in the future. I think it's usually better to be doing your combos and generating your gauges than it is to be using Harvest Moon, generally speaking. It's more for downtime, and it's a great tool for downtime though, because it really claps. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff. Let me know how are you feeling about the Reaper? I imagine a lot of people might be really excited for it because it's such a cool looking job, and you pick it up, you start to play it, and you kind of go, you know what, this is actually kind of boring. Like, it looks incredible, but I'm not really convinced by the flow. I'm not super convinced. Like, it's cool, it's fine, but it's not wowing me. Yeah, I can tell you, I can confirm for you that that is the case at those lower levels. It's not until you get to that max level that it really starts to pop, and it's honestly not even that bad to get there. You get through very quickly in Endwalker dungeons, and the dungeons are fun, and again, your toolkit just keeps getting more and more fun as you go. So yeah, for me, Reaper at level 90, I'd actually highly recommend it. I really would highly recommend it. I think it's got a great pace to it, especially going in and out of Reaper form. Great sense of pace. It looks absolutely incredible. Does a lot of damage as well. It hits really hard, and it has fantastic utility to support your teammates. Yeah, it's just, I definitely recommend it as being a great job. So there you go. That is what I think of Reaper. I think it's awesome. Let me know what you think, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Oh, look at that. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.